Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Good afternoon again. I'm Vivien. I'm an expert on sustainability at Enel. It's not an easy task, but at least it's very gratifying. We're going to wrap up with the panels, then we're going to have the debate. And observing the different presentations yesterday and today with several types of debates, I'm very happy to see that there's a great connection between everything that we are talking about. We've commented about the importance of climate change for Enel. Our directors talked about that. We had Walter's lecture, Dr. Bo's lectures, and in the morning with Steve, and yesterday we also had Dr. Dongwu, and now we are connecting the dots between the several presentations. The importance of our commitments with sustainable development, how the companies that are more sustainable are retaining their talents. And then we're going to talk about how Enel has been doing that. And we're going to comment about the technological issues on how the different tariffs and technologies that Salas has mentioned in the morning and Dr. Bose has talked about again, about the different tariffs, and Renato is going to talk about that. We are going to talk about project investments. We have research projects, energy efficiency projects, and we're going to talk about these 2 points as well. And we're going to talk about the communication with people. We are going to give some examples in this presentation now, and this connection among the different things that we are doing in this moment that we are living. Now I am facing a technical problem, but now it's good. In this situation we are living, it's a critical moment. We are facing many impacts in different cities. We are facing extreme events, and we have this populational growth, increasing consumption, we have environmental degradation, and we have complex solutions. It's not easy, but do we have an alternative for that? And this is the connection. Enel has been working with this conjunction of concepts, sharing a shared value with circular economy within this concept of innovation and sustainability that we call innovability. We have a technical issue. Let's move on. Nowadays, we've been working with 2 concepts, circular economy with 5 pillars, and also our commitments with the sustainable development goals. We had some problems with the pictures, but that's okay. We work with different pillars, for instance, circular inputs. We are able to reuse renewable energy to produce a material, or we could think about the future to use plastic for the different ways to measure energy. And the extension of shell life is another pillar that we work with. When we talk about this equipment such as the equipment to measure the amount of energy, we have to think about this continuing. We also work with share economy, new services, and new life cycles.
For example, how we can reuse materials used in construction works. old gauges, how we can connect that within the 5 pillars that we develop of circular economy. Then we start. I'm looking at the next slide. I think there was a problem with it. Okay, she's telling me not to go through my slides for 1 minute. I'm going to speak without the slides for now. It was correct here in the smaller screen, but on the big screen there's a problem with the slides. So while we're having some technical problems, we're going to continue anyway. So how can we connect all of these projects that we have been working with within these pillars and try to contribute to a better resilience of the grid, as was mentioned earlier? We try to bring the topic of climate while communicating with the population, how to convey this information about climate to them, how we're conveying. So this has to do with the projects that we're going to discuss now. One of them is the smart meters. Now it's perfect. We had a technical problem, but I'm going to skip the slides now that you didn't see before. These are the 5 pillars, and these are our commitments. We're going to see 2 examples of projects developed within Enel. Some projects that are prior to us, very close to the operations, very close to our daily activities, and how we can communicate them and impact population through shared value, for example. So I'm going to pass the floor now to Giovanni. I skipped the previous slides because we already talked about them, and now you can move on from here. Giovanni is going to talk about the sustainable construction site of the Entroncamento Lagos substation. This is a project that is very dear to us. Good afternoon. I'm sorry for my accent. I'm not Brazilian, but let's start talking about the substation Entroncamento Lagos. Since we work with the sustainability department with Enel, we were able to create a beautiful project, which is now a reference that we're trying to replicate in other substations. I would like to give you a small introduction, which is not here on the slide, and say that since we were talking about grid resilience in the morning, this project was created as a study, as a systemic study by Enel with the company of energy research to solve the problems of transportation in the seacoast area of Rio, which we call Região dos Lagos. Through this project, we give several alternatives, and the alternative with the smallest global cost was chosen. So an alternative that complies with what we need, and the alternative with the lowest cost. So that gave rise to this substation that was chosen among the simulations to be built. This substation was built in Região dos Lagos, as I said, the seacoast region of Rio. It's a solution that connects to the national system, and it affects positively 12 municipalities, among them the towns of Cabo Frio, Araruama, São Pedro da Aldeia, Arraial do Cabo, and Búzios mainly, having a positive presence in to approximately 551,000 clients. And in what way does it affect the grid resilience? We improve the quality and the reliability of the electrical system in the region. 4 to 5 years ago, the region depended on substations and campus, the Faune substations, as we call them. So this new substation started injecting energy locally, connected to the interconnected national system, making this Região dos Lagos more independent from the city of Campos. In the construction of the substation, all equipment were controlled remotely. If there's no defect in the system, we don't need to do any local replacements. We do all operations from the control center of operations of Enel. Besides complying with the characteristics, we had the challenge. We were actually invited by the sustainability department for the challenge of having a sustainable construction, considering mainly two pillars: the creation of shared value, working with the society, with the environment, the economy in the region, governance, and also improve and introduce sustainable, innovative, and circular practices. What does it mean? It means we should work in an environmentally friendly manner, using, extending the shelf life of equipment that we were about to dispose, sharing values with the local community, having our product seen as a service, and also using circular inputs, besides the best practices and experiences shared by our Board of Infrastructure and Network. We tend to follow global standards, so we try to standardize our practices at a global level. We started from more basic principles. We created a sustainable billboard. In the surroundings of the substation, we included basic information on the benefit that the society would get from the construction of that substation, and we also included information of the technologies that we were using, like solar panels, reuse of rainwater, air conditioning, and so on. During the construction process, in partnership with the partner SDN Constructions, we built an economy that recycled materials. So we recycled 45.25 tons of materials, from which we have 6.51 tons of lumber. This reused lumber usually is used close to the substation. We also used the lumber to build pallets to support equipment. We reused 12 tons of steel. We moved around 30,000 cubic meters of reused land. We were able to reutilize those 30,000 cubic meters of soil. We also reused materials, which avoided an expenditure of 2.5 million reais with materials, and we also have associated costs to the reuse of materials, which avoided 1.9 million reais in disposing of materials. In the area that we worked on, there is a certain degradation of the land, and we had a reforested area of 9,500 square meters, which are 535 seedlings that we planted, maintaining the biodiversity in the region. Also, in the construction site, we had an important participation with the local community, because we hired 33 people who lived in the region. And we shared opportunities. We received CVs from people who live in the region. We assess if they are skilled, and in case they are not skilled, we have training programs in partnership with our construction company, which is STN, so that they can feel integrated to the process of construction. Due to this integration with the population, we had over 500,000 reais invested in actions with the community. Additionally, the investments come from internal investments, incentive laws, and programs of energy efficiency. Thank you very much, Giovanni. It's very nice to see that we approach several topics while we are doing this presentation. For example, the sustainable billboard. The construction sites, through legal requirements in Brazil, have to contain billboards with the number of the license, the deadline for conclusion, and we brought this new way to communicate with the population, showing them what is this construction, how it is being carried out, how it is circular and sustainable, and what it's going to bring to its surroundings. So we try to give visibility to the positive impact for the region and the population. Giovanni talked about the reuse of materials. We have some, on the picture, we have some wooden benches. This lumber was used in the construction, and we created some benches in a lounge for our workers. Close to the substation, we had a public area, and with the Department of Culture and Education, we had several partnerships with the city of Rio das Ostras in the region of Rocha Leão. We donated that material to make a playground for kids. That panel that was painted in the back was work that we carried out through the projects and incentive laws. It's a funding that we have by law and that we are able to use. And this mural was painted in partnership with the local artists who told the story of that region. So we carried out several activities during the construction of this substation. And as Giovanni said, it is an automatized substation, which adds to the resilience of our grid. And it also increases and improves our relationship with the community and what we are bringing to the environment. That was a very nice project. As Giovanni said, we have been trying to replicate that in other activities within Enel, in other constructions as well. We have the construction of green power, which also brings the sustainable construction site and all of this technology. So this is very interesting. Speaking of other projects now, but before we pass on to the next project, it's very important to mention that when we organize this project, we have to be very serious about it. We have to follow up on the actions, the indicators, the KPIs. It is very important to have this follow-up to have a positive result. We cannot keep things in paper. And now taking this link, our partnership with the construction companies that work with us is also very important in this sense. And it was very interesting to develop this project in partnership with them. Earlier, we were talking about the culture of climate emergency and how the population is impacted, but often the companies do not have a culture of following up on the information. So we have developed that with our partners, and this is very nice to see. Thank you once again, Giovanni. Please feel free to add your comments. But now we're going to pass the floor to Renato, and he's going to describe another project that we have that started as a research and development project. It brings automation of the grid, technology, the possibility of having different tariffs, like Dr. Bose was mentioning earlier, having this connection with the grid. It is the project of the meters. So Renato is going to explain it further to you, the smart meter project. We have this first pilot happening in São Paulo, and Renato is going to give you more information. Good afternoon, everyone. I work at the Smart Meter project in São Paulo. We started installing smart meters in 2021. We have now 800,000 meters installed. And I'm here to discuss the benefits of the smart meters for society and for sustainability. I'm going to try to talk about the main benefits. We're going to start with the video to contextualize to everyone how the smart meters work, what are their benefits, and then I'm going to explain in further detail what our project encompasses.
Modernity and high technology. This is Enel's smart meter. In 2021, Enel took another step towards smart service provision, offering our customers convenience and improved energy management by allowing them to monitor their daily consumption. All thanks to the installation of the smart meter. The smart meter project began with the P&D program, where traditional meters were replaced with smart meters. Our action is aligned with a technological advancement in everyone's life. If my TV is smart, so is my energy meter. With this new technology, our customers began to track their consumption daily and to estimate their energy bills using Enel's app and website. Enel brings a significant technological advancement to the energy supply relationship and the customer-provider relationship, positively impacting the entire value chain, from the industry to our customers. The implementation of smart meters was already an innovation by Enel worldwide. In Brazil, in just over 2 years, more than 640,000 smart meters were installed. This year, we expanded our reach, and in the first quarter of 2024, we achieved 755,000 smart meters installed at Enel São Paulo. We have the largest smart meter park installed in Brazil. Besides being faster, the smart meter introduces the concept of digitization, making our customers aware of sustainable consumption.
Can nowadays estimate of what I'll spend next month.
Because it becomes simpler for us to track our consumption. You can understand it much better than the other one we had.
Now I can organize myself better, right? I need to know if I can budget my incoming money well enough to pay the bills, so I can get a better overview of my monthly savings.
In the app, you can track your bill itself because we're not caught off guard anymore without that anxiety, wondering how much my electricity bill will be, what I have spent. You can track through the app what you're spending, you monitor your consumption daily, right?
With the Smart Meter project, we've opened up possibilities for new technologies, a new future.
Bom, então vocês podem ver que o medidor não é só medidor inteligente, né?
You can see that it's not only a smart meter. This is a technological solution that provides a lot to the chain. It adds value to the whole chain. The customer can follow their consumption through the app. So we switch all of the conventional meters and we install the smart meters. The energy grid conducts the signal to the concentrator. We have the low voltage transformer, and through the PRS we send all the data to our platform, and we make this information available to the clients so they can manage their own consumption. This is very interesting for the clients to control their consumption and know what time of the day they consume more energy. And here we have some benefits that the project brings. We highlighted the 4 biggest benefits, but I'm also going to talk about the energy balance. The energy balance is nothing more than being able to measure the consumption through a certain transformer. So we can see if there's loss of energy from that transformer. And to do an inspection to analyze frauds in the grid, with that energy balance, we can identify the worst transformers with the biggest loss and direct our inspection to those transformers.
So we know that the consumer who is committing a fraud doesn't care about the consumption. They leave their AC on and with this high consumption, and most certainly that will generate an imbalance in the grid with losses, and it's not sustainable. We have remote operations, so we are able to read the consumption remotely, because we don't need to send a person to read the measurement, and so it's we have lower consumption of fuel, contributing to sustainability. We have this demand response. We are able to remotely configure this meter. For instance, we have this conventional meter, and it can become this distributed generation. So if the client sets up the solar panel, we are able to reconfigure the meter, and then you can have a bi-directional meter. And we also have this white tariff that we have. The conventional client can migrate for this white tariff, and then their consumption be according to the time. So we are able to better manage the grid. We also have network sensors. It's very important for us to identify failure. For instance, if there's a power outage, the client will contact the company, and we are able to see if there's a failure in that meter, and we are able to treat directly that failure. That is accelerating our process of client service and preventing unproductive displacement, because you end up going to clients that you wouldn't need to go to otherwise. So with the sensors, it's easier to us, and we will also consume less fuel, and we will have lower emissions. And what Vivien was mentioned about the firmware as well. If we have this new need, if we have this new regulation, we are able many times, because we have the hardware limitation, but we are able to adapt the firmware remotely, and we don't need to change that meter, and we can create new alarms. We can adapt to the new regulation. We have several features that can be deployed. And we have other issues such as cybersecurity, remote reading and setup, and being bi-directional, as I've commented before. Here you may see some benefits impacting society. In terms of distribution, we have reliable reading. We are able to better manage the grid. We are able to improve the relationship with the client, because when we're able to be faster, this is an advantage to the client, and we reduce the losses. That is providing this good benefit to the different indicators. For instance, the warnings that the meter supplies, for instance, if someone is opening that lead, the meter lead, we have this warning and this alarm, and this is very important to identify possible fraud. And we have the benefit for the consumer, because at the app they can manage their consumption. They are able to understand where they are spending more. They have a faster service because everything is remote. The client that is delinquent and had its power cut, once we identify the payment, 5 minutes later, their power is back with no need of human interaction. The system is able to identify the payment and then the power is back. So it's a gain for the whole chain. And in terms of security, you have less contact with the meter. Everything is now remote, and that helps a lot. Concerning the impact on society, we are improving infrastructure because we are updating the meters. We have the flexible tariffs, as I've commented before, and circular economy. I'm going to talk about sustainability next, how we are replacing the meters. So we remove the old one, and what's the destination for this old one, and also CO2 reduction, because all the chain is being affected. We have an amount of vehicle available in the street, and we are reducing that, and this is very important. And we are developing the 4.0 industry, creating more jobs, because we have trained 500 more technicians at Senai São Paulo, and we take these students and we ask them to do this technical course. We promote that, and we are now generating a lot of impact in society. And the ability to transmit energy as well. Speaking about the process now, we remove the old one. They are quite old. And with this concept of circular design and sustainability, we have it since its inception. So we remove the meters. Part of the materials is used. What is glass, metal, plastic, we are able to reintroduce in the chain. And we have this potential of over 6 tons of waste, preventable waste. And we are providing new opportunities for the old meters. Another important point provided by this project is that when you become a smart meter client, you have more contact with your consumption. You become more modern. And one of the benefits of this project is to take this client to this email bill. Before they had this printed bill, the technician should go to the field and the technician would print that bill. But now they adhere to this email bill, and from then on we don't have to go to the field, we don't have to print that bill. And we have 2 times more smart media clients now. 45% of the clients, they have their email bills, and from end to end it's an automated process, and we don't need to go to the field. And with that, we've prevented almost 600,000 liters of water saved, because we are not printing the bills anymore. That's equivalent to 42 million liters of water per month. The project as a whole can get to this point because we are setting up more and more meters, and the amount of clients are going to increase, and we will end up with this meaningful reduction. Last, concerning everything that we are preventing with all the project in terms of vehicles in the field and all of the benefits, we are estimating that up until now we have 79 tons of CO2 that are not going into the atmosphere anymore, equivalent to 607 trees from the Atlantic forest. And we hope that At the end of the project, we are going to have a reduction of 20 million tons of CO2 into the atmosphere. Thank you, Renato. A very important point for us to highlight is that this meter nowadays is made in Brazil. It started as a R&D project, and nowadays it's produced in Manaus with several different equipments. So we are fostering our industry with this new chain, new meters. We have the greatest part of meters nowadays with this positive impact on this other sector. And it's very important to mention that the old meters are being recycled. The glass, the plastic, and the metal parts, they return to the productive chain. So we establish partnerships, identifying new studies, new ways to bring the industry with us in this partnership, because we understand that Enel's impact is integrated and general. I think that, as I've said before, this integration of projects that are aiming at sustainability with different challenges in our daily operations in terms of setup, training. We know that producing and setting up meters is not an easy activity, but there's a lot of technology behind it, and it's gratifying to work this way, in an integrated way. And just to complement and wrap up, something else that is very interesting, even in this company, the size of Enel, it's such a big company because that we don't know what's happening in different departments. We have this resilience plan, but some of the colleagues didn't know about that. And also with our sustainability and circular economy projects, we are integrating diverse departments. This integration within the company of the engineering department, technology department, sustainability department somehow is reflecting in this objective of integrating PPPs, partnerships with the academia. So this event is also sharing a lot of what we've been trying to do with our integrations. So I'm going to let you say your final words, and I'd like to thank you once more for bringing such interesting projects. And then we're going to open for this Q&A session. I'd like to thank you for the invitation. Vivien complimented in a wonderful way concerning sustainability. So I'm very thankful, and I'm going to give the floor to Renato, and we are open for questions. I'd like to thank you for the invitation as well. It was a rush to prepare everything, but if you have questions to ask me or